Welcome back, everybody. We're in the midst of a match that is all tied up here between SBENU and Samsung Galaxy Con. Deer taking that last win over Joxy in pretty dominating fashion.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say mostly what you'd expect, unless Deer does something crazy. He did something kind of crazy, but I again feel like that build that we saw from Joxy, we've seen it a lot. No doubt people see it a lot on the ladder. It has never worked out to do enough damage
at least in these televised Pro League games. For one reason or another, they get scouted out, or just the Reaper control is not the best. But let's go into this next game here. We got MMA, who is yelling to someone in his booth. He's got his headphones off. I thought for a second he was talking to himself. Just 2-3, 0-1 versus Protoss. We just haven't seen him much since the first game in round 4.
Yeah. 5 games in total. A lot of people really criticizing his play in his recent GSL group. And he played pretty weak there. But we'll see. 2-2 versus Hurricane. Those are back from the old GSTL days, most of them, no doubt. And we'll see if he can perform today. Hurricane, on the other hand, having a really tough time recently. He's 3-7 this season, 5-13 in total.
Yep. This is actually Moonlight's favorite song. Definitely go ahead and tweet this at him. He loves to hear it all the time. 2-2 versus MMA, as we mentioned before. Looking to do. He had like one run where he was doing okay, right? Like one or 2 weeks, right, where he like did maybe 1 or 2 wins in Pro League, did a decent job in individual leagues, and then he kind of just mad out again. I'm not really sure. Yeah. Looking forward to his return though. A very fun player.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see, man. MMA, I think a lot of people would have favored him 2 months ago. Right now, not so much.
This is another one of those games where it's like I still feel like it could go either way. I feel like the level is slightly dropped down compared to that first game, but I still feel like this is anyone's game. MMA versus Hurricane here. The map is going to be Echo, which is actually a map that MMA does come out on pretty often. Actually died to Hero's Warp Prison play before on this map. We'll see if Hurricane can repeat that kind of play or do something else. Let's jump into game number 3 right now. Up here in the top left, in the pink for SBENU, the Terran player, it is MMA.
And his opponent to the bottom right for Samsung, formerly known as Tier, currently known as Hurricane. The idea to get to that ID comes from his mother. That sign said, "Let's win, Tier/Hurricane." I end up calling him Tier a lot because I've commentated him being Tier for probably 2+ years.
What do you like better, Tier or Hurricane?
I like Tier. I feel like Hurricane just seems like a bit too forced, almost, especially because it's he always says in interviews his mom told him to make the ID.
Really?
But his parents very supportive of his play. In fact, when
that's really cool.
We talked about this yesterday, or I guess mostly I did because I'm the Starcraft 2 historian of Korean Starcraft 2. But when Gumiho all killed Slayers in that finals in Busan. Tier's family lives in Busan, so they actually came to the finals on the beach. And they were there in the crowd, and there was like an interview and an emotional moment with most of the players' families. And you could see that his family was insanely supportive of his play, despite the fact that they initially thought, this isn't something we want our son to do. This isn't something that we feel is going to be a career. And then, of course, they see him on stage. Hundreds of fans cheering. There's a live production, and his team is there. Unfortunately, because of the all kill, he didn't get to play. But that moment, right, is something I'll always remember from the past StarCraft Korean esports history that I was involved in with Caldor, of course, back in the day.
I'm really excited for the future. It's weird to say, but we're living in very exciting times, Wolf. Esports is getting gigantic. Filling out stadiums across the world, and it's only going to get bigger from here. It hasn't even I feel fully reached like worldwide recognition just yet. It's only just now like there's a bunch of articles and interviews really coming out that are like, hey, this is a big deal actually. You know, there's a huge market for it, something like over $1 billion, something ridiculous. For the year. So,
I mean,
yeah, I mean it's only going to get bigger.
And for those who are just looking at StarCraft specifically, I mean, if you're looking for more interesting games or you're thinking you want more StarCraft, and we see this cool eBay block go down here, you know, I actually recommend going back and watching the old StarCraft 1 tournaments and following that scene because you don't actually know what happens. Most players, or most fans rather, who've not watched that, it feels like watching a whole new world, a whole new story. And since I came into Brood War somewhat late, when I went back to rewatch those old tournaments, it was a real treat for me. And of course, StarCraft 1's still decently big in Korea. English commentary for that most likely on the horizon.
I mean, you could essentially treat it as if you're watching an old TV show that was fantastic. Everybody's like, oh, you got to watch it. And you can just watch it. You don't have to wait every week, right, for the next episode. You just have it all there. The VODs are all there. And you can just watch it all in one go.
Well, this is a very hefty eBay block. It's at, I'd say, like 98%, so it's going to take quite a bit of time to deflect without a Zealot. The probe is also going to get into the main base here and see that there is a grand total of 1 Marine. So this Stargate play, even though the eBay gets blocked, or the Nexus gets blocked by this eBay for so long, the Stargate play is going to be quite strong here. In fact, I would have even liked to see that probe hit a Marine just to make it a little bit easier for that first Oracle to get damage done.
Well, there is the cancel, and he's going to eventually make that Nexus. But first we will see the Oracle being produced and chrono boosted out of that Stargate. And so far from MMA, I'm not even 100% sure he's noticed. He's rallying those Marines down to the bunker, you know, which are good for stopping the Stalkers from getting in. But there's going to be nothing in the main. Finally, a Widowmine is being produced, but that's going to be too late.
Yeah, the Widowmine is going to be the key here for defending this. But it's too late, like you said.
Yeah.
And, I mean, 4 Marines out of position, no turrets. This is going to be a disaster here, I'd say. MMA losing several workers already.
Going to clean up 6 here, and there are a bunch of Marines down there, 4 of them. As we said before, this comes out fast enough so there's no Widowmine, so Hurricane's just flying around the base trying to get as much damage as possible. And that's pretty nice.
But it's still an insanely late Nexus. The second Widowmine, or rather the second Oracle, needs to do some serious damage. And that's why I said the Widowmine's the most important thing, because the Widowmine's now out, and it needs to be well positioned. It needs to actually get a shot off here. If he can't use the Widowmine to kill this, or at least zone this, he's going to continue to lose workers. And this means that essentially he is on one base as well, because he can't even mine from his natural safely at this point.
Yeah. Oh, he's going for the Marines. This is very nice. Going to zap one of them, actually. Not the best, but going to pick out 2 more SCVs and fly out of there and keep it alive.
Finally, the Widowmine gets into position, and also the eBay finishes. But just such an insanely late eBay, you know? Might have even wanted to finish the eBay at the block to make a turret.
No. You know what would have been great for him is actually if he just sent the SCV into the main, scouted the fact that they're, you know, missing pylon, a lot of gas being mined. Okay, you're going for a Stargate. Instead of eBay blocking, make it in your main, make turrets and be prepared. But,
or, you know, I mean, honestly, like, realistically, finish the eBay at his Nexus with your SCV instead of leaving. And then make turrets with that. I'm not even kidding. That'll give you some time to figure out what's going on. It's like now he's looking for the Stargate, but the damage has already been done. Finding it is going to be not even that useful. In fact, it might be a liability. If you move out with Marines to kill that pylon, then your mineral lines become more vulnerable again. That was close.
Yeah, only 1 Phoenix out just yet. Going to get a nice scout of the entire base. Something you can always do here. Just 1 Phoenix, a very fast unit, and he's going to continue producing those. Going to do what a lot of Protosses are doing these days with the start of the Oracles. They make 2, always, get a bunch of damage, but then they keep them alive at all costs. They never just suicide them, do anything like that, and then they use them later on for that very heavy utility.
Yeah. So, let's talk about where we're at in this game, like, you know, worker-wise, production-wise. Jockchi, or not, excuse me, not Jockchi, MMA is down 7 workers, but with double mules, that's still okay economy-wise versus just the 42, because so much gas and so many of those early resources were committed. A lot of chrono, especially, I would say, for Hurricane, has been used on actually rushing out these techs, rushing out some of these units. Both the Oracles got chrono boosted heavily. The Mothership Core got chrono boosted heavily early on. The first Stalker as well to stop the eBay block. But he has the better tech. And also, at this point, MMA's army consists of 10 Marines and 3 Widow Mines. So the pressure that he could do this third base is non-existent. His base is going to go up for free. You know, he has a third CC just now started. So when you look at the supplies and you look at the work counts, you think, wow, MMA is actually okay. But in reality, when you think about what's going to happen in the next 2 to 3 minutes, not really, because he can't punish this third base. He can't move out on the map and attack anything. There are Phoenixes, which he knows about, so he's scared of doing drops. They're such a big liability. And the reality is there's only one Phoenix, but he doesn't know that either. You know, it's just all these scary possibilities at this point in time. So I really worry for MMA. The MMA is one of the best Zerg players. Keep saying all the wrong things. One of the best Terran players at late game TVP, because he played in Europe where that was more normal for a very long time. So if it goes to late game, I'm not sure if Hurricane will respond well to late game ghosts, nukes, anything like that. So MMA's best bet, I would say, in this game is to try to turtle, even though it's normally not how Terrans play in Korea, to the late game.
Yeah, I mean, it could be an ace idea. I think he still has to find some damage to pull himself back into a decent spot before he tries to go into that late game. We do see, though, like I said before, if you're going Oracles, you keep it alive, you, as long as you're in position, can always get these tags down. You can see exactly where all the units are coming from and always be prepared. Split up your units perfectly as the Protoss, something that's usually quite hard when you're going for a Colossus kind of tag and composition. By the way, he still has not seen the Stargate somehow. Yeah.
He's about to, though. When the SCV's mine from the left patches, he's going to see it. Another tag here on this Bioforce. Even though he doesn't hit the medevacs, he knows that if the Marines aren't in the medevacs and they're coming into the medevac, drops are going to be pretty weak, so he's pretty not concerned. Notice also that they're basically dead even on supply, which is further indicative of how little of an army, how little of a force MMA has to pressure with right now. Blink is about to finish, which furthers the drop defense. I think, you were saying, I said earlier, like, I wanted to turtle, I wanted to back off. I think you're right. You just need to find something, like this Widow Mine drop. I just really don't want him to try to hit a timing attack, because that is just simply never going to work. Like a pull the boys type attack.
He may just be too far behind for that.
Even like a 3 ghost push, it's just not going to happen. Oh, a late reaction here, though, or no reaction at all.
Oh, they're both going to get off. 7 kills. They will eventually be cleaned up of finding that damage. These 2 Oracles are coming back. They're still alive, but not being targeted.
No turret here. There is a Widow Mine, and it unfortunately got the bigger energy one. Oh, God, this is going to be a free chunk of bio.
Yeah. Thank you very much, says Hurricane. Chomps down on that very small chunk of bio, and the rest of it is back here.
I think Hurricane is realizing, well, wow, you just really don't have anything. I really don't have to worry about anything right now on the map. Yeah. MMA is about to be...
Forces another stim, can blink after this, catching unit after unit.
MMA is about to be one set of upgrades ahead at 2-1 to 1-1. At just this moment right now, it's 1-1 to +1.
I mean, I suppose that's something, but looking at army supply right now, the heavier tech Protoss army here against just bio is higher army supply. And looking to kill. MMA wants to break down this debris.
He needs to get the Zealots in the front, though.
He's got to be careful about sending those Colossi forward. They did get some nice swipes, but only now are 4 Vikings coming out here at a time.
All right, he broke those rocks, so he can go for the sandwich here with the army from the main. Well, you can call that an army, the force from the main. But he's just outnumbered by this Protoss army. This almost never happens.
He'd actually go up this ramp and force field it if he wants. He's going to focus down this orbital. He should get it easily.
Some Vikings coming from the side, but there's just not enough of them to make a difference. Especially with this good Stalker blink to zone.
No, not going to get that orbital, in fact. Didn't quite commit, but he's going to deny the mining there for so long. And look at these units that are still just out on the map. They can be blinked after forever. They need to stim so many times. Only 3 medevacs here. He's going to snipe 1 and 1 and 1, and that's going to be it for this army, man.
And that's going to be it for this game, most likely. Good angle for the Vikings, though. The Colossi have to kite back into Marauders. But this Protoss army is just way too big. I mean,
no more Zealots, though.
He needs warp-ins, and he is warping in, but not at this location. So he's still going to win this fight, but just barely.
No. Now you can blink after some of those Vikings, or at least catch the Marauders. And
there's no more AoE in this army. And 2-2 isn't done yet.
Yeah, actually just going to pull down some SCVs to go towards that third base once again, but kind of vulnerable. It looks like Hurricane's just got so many Blink Stalkers at this point, and MMA can't really build up enough of a Bioforce to fight it. Well, as I say that, Hurricane actually pushing way too far forward.
Yeah, the micro, they're not the best. Should have been blinking back individual Stalkers. But anyways, I mean, your assessment is still correct. The next round of Warp-ins, plus the next, upgrades they're going to finish, including Charge, should be enough to push him through. It looks like instead of... Okay, no, he's going to commit to an Warp, and he waited a while. I was just saying, instead of that, he's going to transition into Templar and get a 4th base, but he's still going to continue the pressure here.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting. He has to be extremely careful about how he engages this with no AoE. He's just going to force a bunch of stims. He knows that he's cut down on that medevac count and that MMA's forced to rebuild those. He hasn't been mining from those gases for a while, but here we go. Once again, a ton of charge that's coming forward. 2-2 has finished.
All right, well, this is looking like a very, very impossible engagement for MMA. Even with the SCV pull here, look at all the damage he's found. He moves back, kills several SCVs.
Really nice army control there by Hurricane, not just allowing his Zealots to run into their deaths.
And now with an Immortal in the mix to help finish off these armored units, this should be game.
The blink forward. A lot of Marauders coming from the main here, but the warp in here of Zealots is going to help out greatly in dealing with this army.
This is one of these engagements that in Legacy of the Void, the Protoss will not be able to do this anymore. This will not ever work in the current build of Legacy of the Void because you cannot reinforce. But, with how reinforcement works, even without AoE damage, you just never allow the Terran player to get up enough bio. You just keep trading. GG.
Hurricane gonna get another win here for Samsung, grabbing his heart. That was a very hard game to get through for Hurricane. It wasn't like a flawless victory there for sure. But eventually, even though it was a bit dirty, he was able to get that win.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, the defense in the early game there was pretty lackluster. Late turrets, having the Marines out of position, and just really not thinking about Oracle play, just blind bunkering without scouting.
No. He was kind of just assuming. I wanted to say this before, but he was like assuming that Hurricane was just going to play very standard and get an Nexus at a standard time. And, like we said before, he just didn't even scout, didn't expect it at all, and did not prepare.
I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I do want to say one more time, this is a much more important match for Samsung. They need this win because they're going against KT Rolster next week, whereas SBENU is going against Prime. So it's really important for them to take this match. This is going to give them a good sort of mindset going into our 4th and final scheduled match today.
MMA looking stumped right now. He's like, did I just get Protoss that hard?
He's like,
yes, MMA.
He's got this thought bubble above his head, right? That you'd see like in a comic book, and it's just a picture of an Oracle.
What was that flying green thing? There's like a question mark next to it. Like, huh? I've never seen that before.
Our final match will be between Lenok and Armani. See if Lenok can force the ace match. I don't think that Samsung is taking this pick on Terraform lightly because we did not see Armani play very much. I think he's probably played about 4 games maybe this season or so. We'll get look at that in a minute, or you'll look it up right now. But
he's played 5.
5, okay.
You're pretty close.
So we don't see this guy fielded very often. So it seems risky to field him in such an important match unless fielding him in this match means he's doing insanely well on this map and maybe expecting a ZVZ versus Lenok. And so they've got this sort of plan coming because Stork is one of the best and smartest coaches, a former pro gamer, top StarCraft 1 player. I think he's got a good idea about who to send and why to send them.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that as well. Like, were they 100% expecting Lenok on this map? I mean, he is one of these guys, especially on this map. He's got that gold base. Loves to do it against Protosses in particular. But Armani, maybe going to counter this in his ZVZ. Not sure exactly where Lenok's ZVZ is at. The stats we see here are 1 and 3. Hasn't been the best record so far.
Lenok is just fallen off, but pretty hard. I mean, in Season 2 of Star League, his emblem, the whole idea, we even had the animation of him like getting on the plane and being sent back to Taiwan because Yoi was saying, if you don't win, you're going back to Taiwan. We need you there. Yeah. You're not actually performing in Korea. You asked us to allow you to go to Korea and wear our banner, and you're not wearing it well. You're not winning. We need you in Taiwan. We need our team winning in the TESL, the Taiwanese Esports League. And so they wanted him to come back. He failed. They gave him another chance. He kind of didn't do so well this season, and now we're going into Pro League where he's 1-3. Like you said, he hasn't been fielded that often, and I worry about
versus Zerg. I should clarify there.
So what's his overall record?
8-7.